The dragon sparrow sword at his back instantly shot out. It spiraled in the air for a few rounds before settling steadily before Seth. So this is the #1 sword in the world. Truly extraordinary? Watching the resplendent dragon sparrow sword, a hint of joy finally appeared on Glenn's calm face. His eyes were filled with enthusiasm. As a sword enthusiast, his lifelong pursuit was to collect 10 famous swords in the world. It was a shame that he only managed to collect 6 of them. The cultivation technique Glenn practiced was very peculiar. The more swords he had, the more capable he was. If he could collect all 10 famous swords in the world, his cultivation level would undoubtedly advance to another level. Glenn, watch carefully. This is the first move. Seth slowly pulled back his sword finger before suddenly thrusting it forward. The dragon sparrow sword emitted a light hum as it instantly transformed into a formidable sword aura. Then it pierced toward Glenn with a terrifying force. While Glenn was challenging Seth, Adam was about 100 miles to the east of Quandary Mountain as he led an elite force toward it. As it happened suddenly, he didn't bring many troops. He only had 500 soldiers with him. However, these 500 men were his bodyguards. Thus, they were extremely capable. Many martial experts were among them. If he put all of them together, they would not be at a disadvantage even if they faced 10,000 soldiers. Quick, go quicker. Hurry up. We need to make sure we can get to Scenic Monastery as soon as possible. Adam kept urging while sitting in the car. He seemed very anxious. When the 2 officials saw that, they felt a bit astonished. After all, Adam was known to be stoic. No matter what he encountered, he could handle it calmly. Thus, they wondered what had happened today for him to be so agitated. How's Scarlet? Is there any news about her? Adam suddenly asked. Miss Spanner has been suddenly called on a mission by the Patriarch. Thus, we can't get a hold of her at that moment. However, we've already left a message for her to come to support us once she comes back. A female official answered. What kind of mission is she doing? I bet those stubborn oldies are just trying to prevent her from coming. Adam couldn't help but scold. It was obvious what the oldies were trying to do. After all, they had lured the most powerful fighter, Scarlet, away at such a critical moment. It could be seen that the Spanner family consented for Dustin to be killed just so they wouldn't offend the Rorals. Mr. Spanner, Mr. Reese is a lucky man. I'm sure he'll be fine. There's no need to worrying too much, the female official consoled. This isn't so simple. The entire Oakvale is in turmoil. Even the forces behind the royalties have started to make a move. If I didn't guess wrongly, the bloodshed from 10 years ago is about to replay itself. Adam replied seriously. What, is it that serious? The 2 female officials were stunned. The bloodshed 10 years ago in Oakvale was so chaotic that nobody dared to bring it up till now. It was difficult to imagine how many people would die again if something similar happened. Buddy, you have to hold on. I'll be there soon. Adam furrowed his eyebrows. Unknowingly, his body had gone stiff. 10 years ago, Adam was not of age yet. He couldn't help Dustin as he had no power or influence. Thus, he could only watch as the bloodshed happened. However, it was different now. He was capable and had enough confidence to fight against such an unfair world with Dustin. Therefore, Adam had to ensure Dustin did not die no matter what. He was even willing to go as far as to lose his official position just like how Dustin had protected him many years ago. Just as Adam was extremely anxious, the car in front of them suddenly stopped. The car behind them also braked. What's the matter? Why did you suddenly stop? Adam immediately asked through the walkie-talkie. Sergeant Spanner, a car is blocking the road in front. We can't go through. A response soon came from the walkie-talkie. Someone is blocking the road. Adam furrowed his eyebrows and got out of the car. Sure enough, they discovered that a large truck was blocking the road about 300 feet ahead. This caused the entire road to be blocked off. Meanwhile, a man with a faceless mask stood atop the truck. Who are you? How dare you block my way? Adam yelled. God of military, the road ahead is restricted. It's better for you to turn back, the masked man replied indifferently. What if I don't? Adam's gaze was boiling with anger. If you don't listen to me, don't say that we didn't remind you, the masked man answered. Well, I would like to see if you could really block me. Adam waved his hand and yelled, kill him. As they were in a critical situation, Adam wouldn't go easy on anyone who tried to block his way. Kill them. 500 elite soldiers jumped down from the vehicles and rushed forward, charging into battle. Just then, the cargo truck's compartments opened from the side. It was filled with people inside. These individuals were clad in black combat gear, wore faceless masks, and brandished steel knives. As they had a powerful aura, it was obvious they were skilled martial artists. Go! When the man in the mask waved his knife on the top of the truck, the martial artists inside the car rushed toward Adam without hesitation. The two parties soon engaged in a violent fight. Adam had more soldiers and horses, not to mention that they were well trained. Thus, they seamlessly executed their attacks and defenses with astonishing momentum. However, the masked assassins were also capable of fighting. There were 5 of them in a team. Not only did they exhibit seamless coordination, but they were also ferocious in their attacks. Both sides engaged in intense backhand, forth combat for some time. This resulted in a deadlock as neither gained a clear advantage. Martial Arts Union? Adam soon found out something after observing them for a while. It was obvious that these masked assassins were specially handpicked martial artists. If they only came from martial world sects, there was no way they could attack so in unison. Only those martial artists who had passed vigorous training could achieve such quality. In the entire Oakvale, only the Martial Arts Union had the capability and motive to do such a thing. It seemed that things were even worse than Adam thought. After all, even an important organization such as the Martial Arts Union was mobilized for this incident. Meanwhile, Scarlet led an elite team on a mission to eliminate bandits in the remote mountains, 500 miles away. Initially, she thought they would face some troubles. However, the bandits were like mice meeting a cat when they saw them. Immediately, they abandoned their strongholds and escaped. It seemed that they didn't want to fight back at all. Thus, Scarlet finished the mission without any injuries or casualties from her team. Madam Scarlet, the bandits have run away. We've also successfully taken down their base. We're now going to proceed to count the spoils of our victory, Georgia reported. Standing before the stronghold's wooden wall, Scarlet furrowed her delicate eyebrows. Her expression was completely devoid of joy. Madam, what's wrong? Georgia was puzzled. Something seems off. After thinking for a while, Scarlet replied, it seems way too successful. They don't look like bandits at all. Madam, perhaps the bandits were terrified as they heard of you before. That's why they don't dare to fight back, Georgia explained. We had already blocked off all their telecommunication systems before coming. Plus, we had never exposed our identity before. How will they know about us? Scarlet questioned back. This is indeed weird, Georgia nodded. After all, the bandits had run away before even giving out a fight. Compared to those ruthless and vicious bandits they had encountered before, they looked nothing like them. Plus, there was no way they could engage in vicious bandit activities if they were so timid. Switch on our telecommunications systems and ask the clan elder what's wrong, Scarlet ordered. Yes, Georgia answered and immediately started to take a move. However, an emergency message immediately rang out as the telecommunications systems were switched on. Dustin is in danger. Come to Scenic Monastery immediately. Scarlet's expression turned grim after hearing that message. Immediately gather everyone and head to Scenic Monastery as soon as possible. She quickly ordered. Wait for a moment. Goddess of War, our mission is to eliminate the bandits. Now that the bandits have escaped, we should chase after them instead of abandoning the mission. An army supervisor immediately jumped out and scolded. What I do is none of your business. Get lost. Scarlet's expression turned indifferent. Madam, this is the clan elder's orders. If you dare to defy, be prepared for my report when I return. The army supervisor threatened loudly. Scarlet raised her hand without uttering a word. Then she drew her sword and beheaded the supervisor in front of everyone. After that, she quickly left with her team. At this moment, roars and screams rang out at the bottom of Quandary Mountain. Destin wielded a sword and maneuvered through the 100,000 soldiers. His sword was unstoppable wherever it went. With each swing, a dozen or more soldiers fell into a pool of blood. However, the troops beside him didn't reduce, no matter how many he killed. Instead, it got more and more. They were like surging waves, coming one after another. By how they kept coming, they were like an endless tide. It would take several days to finish killing them, even if the 100,000 soldiers stood still and allowed themselves to be killed. However, these 100,000 soldiers were all elite equipped with armor and shields. That made the task of slaughtering them far from easy. Although Destin was capable, he couldn't kill 100,000 soldiers on his own. Humans were not robots. It was impossible for them to keep killing so intensely. Destin would use a bit of energy every time he swung his sword. It might not be apparent how exhausted he was in the short term. However, Destin would eventually get more exhausted, and his stamina would dwindle. In the end, he would succumb to the overwhelming number of soldiers and die from exhaustion. Go on and keep killing them. I would love to see how long you can hold on. A distance away, there was a sneer on Anders' face as he watched them fight. He did not feel anything, as his soldiers were not the ones being killed. By the strength Destin showed during combat, killing 10,000 people was probably his limit. Once he used up all his energy, he would be completely powerless. I didn't expect his cultivation level to increase so much. The last time I saw him was a year ago. After all, what a bane! Nestor mumbled with an indifferent expression. With Destin's talent, he would be undefeatable a few more years down the road. Kill him. Go and kill him. The 8 commanders ordered the soldiers to charge forward relentlessly. It seemed that they weren't scared of death at all. They had received strict orders from their superiors to complete the mission at any cost. This also included no matter how many lives were sacrificed. In the midst of the intense battle, a white mist suddenly appeared in the distant mountain forest. As the wind blew, the mist rapidly spread. In just a few short minutes, the mist had reached the battlefield. Then, it slowly infiltrated into the crowd. That's weird. The sun is shining right now. Why would mist appear? The surviving martial artists from the sects couldn't help but be confused when they saw the swirling mist around them. There's no need to feel strange. Phenomena like this often occur in deep mountain forests. The middle-aged man replied calmly, "Wait, this mist is kind of strange." At this moment, a beautiful woman from the Sky Shadow sect immediately furrowed her eyebrows after taking a breath. "What do you mean?" A white-haired elderly from Stormfire Order tried to ask. "The forest is so big, yet this mist is coming directly toward us. What's more, I smell a faint fragrance within this mist. Someone must be intentionally behind this mist," said the beautiful woman with a serious expression. "Someone is behind this. Do you mean that this mist is poisonous?" The white-haired elderly's expression changed. "It could be." The beautiful woman nodded. Suddenly, she reacted and ordered, "Quick, go and inform Mr. Mosey to be careful of the mist." Just as she finished talking, something suddenly happened. Several weaker disciples from the Sky Shadow sect suddenly felt dizzy, and their limbs went weak. After a few unsteady steps, they collapsed to the ground with a thud. Everyone's expression turned grim when they saw that. Not having time to even think, they immediately sat down and controlled their breaths to expel the poison. Those who had access to Curax immediately took one to avoid any unforeseen circumstances. There was no room for carelessness, as this was a matter of life and death. Not long after the female martial artists fell to the ground, A few more also fainted. Moreover, this situation was spreading rapidly and was irreversible. In the back, the soldiers standing in the back who first inhaled the white mist fell one after another like a row of toppling dominoes. A large number of soldiers displayed symptoms of poisoning. Plus, they were completely defenseless against it. It seemed like a hurricane sweeping through fallen leaves where the white mist passed. Nearly half of the 100,000 strong army had collapsed in just a few minutes. What happened? Why did the people at the back fall? The 8 commanders soon noticed that something was off. They couldn't help but feel shocked. There's poison in the mist. Be careful, everyone, a soldier yelled out. However, it was too late. More and more soldiers got poisoned and fell to the ground. There were no signs of stopping. If this continued to happen, they would be fighting a losing battle. Quick, get them to take the detoxifying pills. The 8 commanders roared in unison. The medical team would usually have some detoxifying pills stored. However, the supply of pills they had was nothing compared to the amount of soldiers they needed to cure. There was no time to consider all those, though. The top priority right now was to save as many soldiers as possible. Why did this happen? Why would such poisonous mist appear out of nowhere? Who is behind this? Anders furrowed his brows and looked around. As it was too chaotic, he couldn't find out anything. Perhaps Dustin has a helper. Nestor narrowed his eyes. A hint of viciousness appeared on his face. The poison in the white mist was mild. Thus, it didn't have much effect on capable martial artists. However, it was very effective for those armed soldiers. It was possible that 90% of the soldiers would faint after a few minutes. If that happened, their human wave strategy would fail. Get up! Finally, Nestor couldn't help but speak up. At that, his body trembled. Then, a ray of golden light shot out of his body. The golden light seemed to be alive. It rapidly took shape and expanded. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a huge, angry Iron Fist. Nestor suddenly roared. Angry Iron Fist behind him also opened its mouth, emitting an earth-shattering lion's roar. Following that was a strong hurricane. The strong hurricane swept forward while being empowered by the sound waves. Wherever it passed by, the white mist was blown away. It mirrored a wind dispersing the clouds. Nestor made a breakthrough and turned the losing situation around. Everyone couldn't help but wonder that this was the capability of the martial artists ranked 10th on the astonishing world list. Nestor had dispersed half the overwhelming white mist just by a loud roar. Thus, he effortlessly got through the deadly situation. His capability was extremely shocking. Who is playing games over here? Come out if you dare. Nestor suddenly yelled, as there was a special sound wave in his voice. It soon spread throughout the entire mountain. It was also accompanied by a lingering echo. It was so loud that birds started to scatter in all directions. You're just a monarchy's underdog. You'd better leave with your men right now. Otherwise, we'll all die here. A woman's crisp voice rang out. After that, a colossal black eagle shot out from a distance away, moving at an incredible speed. As everyone fixed their gaze, they saw a young woman seated on the back of the giant eagle. The person who managed to arrive was Abigail. While riding the black eagle, Abigail circled on top of everyone. Her indifferent gaze was staring at the crowd below. As Nestor had acted in time, the poison mist only managed to affect half of them. However, it was not difficult for her to poison the rest of them with her skills. The Mystic Arts Order was not afraid of human wave strategy at all. Abigail? Dustin felt stunned when he saw the young woman riding the eagle. He did not expect her to arrive the soonest out of his other disciples. Sir, are you okay? Abigail asked in midair. I'm fine. I can still hold on, Dustin answered with a smile. While saying that, he took out a tablet and ate it. He depleted a lot of energy from his battle just now. Thus, he needed to replenish his energy and stamina. Thankfully, he always had some tablets on him. That way, he could use them to replenish his lack of stamina. "Young woman, who are you? How dare you stir up trouble over here?" Nestor asked while tilting his head. "Are you trying to get something out of me? Do you think I'm stupid? You old thing, I'm going to repeat this. You'd better leave with your men right now. Otherwise, I'll send all of you to hell once I pour poison on you." Abigail sneered. "You're quite arrogant despite your young age. Do you know who we are?" Nestor's expression was grim. "That's none of my business. However, I'll poison you deaf if you continue blabbing." Abigail screeched. "How dare you?" Nestor was infuriated. Then he lifted his hand and slammed it toward the air. A golden palm shadow instantly shot out, tearing through the sky. It was directly aimed at the giant black eagle Abigail was riding. Just as it was about to hit its target, a white sword light cut in from the side. Then it viciously slashed the golden palm. A huge explosion sounded. The sword's light and golden palm exploded with a resounding sound. Then it turned into scattered rays of light and dissipated. The person behind the sword attack was naturally Dustin. "How dare you try to sabotage me? How shameless!" Seeing that things were unfavorable, Abigail controlled the eagle to fly higher. While doing so, she took out a black ball and threw it down. "I'll poison you all to death," she scolded. The black ball landed on the ground extremely fast. Then it exploded right away. Instantly, a vast amount of black mist gushed out like a flood. Instantly, it covered an area of about 300 feet in diameter and continued to expand. When the soldiers came into contact with the black mist, their skin started to rot and peel off. Not only would their flesh be peeled off, but their clothes and armory would also be eroded by the black mist. One could only shudder at how potent the black mist was. "Ah, my body, it's melting. Save me, someone, please save me." Screams and moans sounded at where the black mist passed. The armed soldiers fell to the ground and rolled around painfully. The corrosion of this poison was more unbearable than torture. This was especially because fear would be instilled in one's heart. When they saw how the others were affected by the black mist, "Quick, move away. Don't touch the black mist." The rest of the survivors fearfully distanced themselves from the poisonous mist. They were afraid of the slightest contamination of the black mist. The black mist bomb that Abigail had just dropped was way more potent than the white mist she had created. The white mist was a slow poison. Once one was poisoned by it, their limbs would go weak and they would faint. If they managed to get help in time, there was still a chance for them to live. However, the blast mist was different. It had a potent erosion effect. It could turn a human being into a corpse in just seconds. Plus, it would be the disfigured and bloody type of corpse. What a troublemaker! Anders gritted his teeth when he saw Abigail in the air. A poisonous bomb that could kill soldiers within a 300 feet radius. It was terrifying how lethal the bomb was. Nobody would be able to survive if she threw a couple more down. So, do you know how capable I am now? Oldie, get away now if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, I promise you'll be dead meat once I throw a few more down. While riding the eagle, Abigail yelled from above. While saying that, she took out a few more black balls. Then she waved it threateningly. At that, the soldiers were so scared that they scattered away to find somewhere to hide. However, there wasn't any suitable place for them to avoid the poisonous mist in the wilderness. The hiding spots they found were merely just to comfort themselves. "Mr. Wilkins, what should we do now? Should we retreat?" A commander ran over, sweating. His face was filled with fear. If they were up against Dustin, they could continue attacking as they were more in numbers. However, Abigail's bombs were too poisonous. They couldn't even see her, but they had lost a considerable number of soldiers. Plus, all of them had died in such miserable ways. It was truly overwhelming. He had trained all the soldiers himself. Thus, he couldn't bear to see them sacrifice for nothing. "Retreat!" Nestor shot him an indifferent look. "Our superior's order is to kill Dustin no matter what. Are you guys planning to be a deserter?" "Mr. Wilkins, we're not planning on escaping. We just want to avoid the danger temporarily. It's not too late to execute the mission once we find a way to detoxify the poison. The commander explained. A young woman has caused 100,000 troops to run away. What will happen to your reputation and the reputations of the other 7 commanders if this gets out? What about the royal family's dignity? Nestor retorted. Well, what do you think we should do then? We can't let them sacrifice themselves just like that, right? The commander was distressed. They couldn't proceed or retreat. The commander wondered what he should do. Our superiors have made it clear that we cannot retreat even if all our soldiers died. Nestor's gaze was hostile. The commander was stunned when he heard that. It seemed that they were just treated as cannon fodder. After all, they couldn't retreat even if all of them died. There are times when military orders ought not to be followed. I can't just watch my friends die in vain, so I have to go against your orders. The commander clasped his fists. Without further ado, he turned and left. At the same time, he shouted, "Everyone from the Red Letter Camp, listen to my command. Retreat. You deserve to die by escaping and causing chaos in the army." Nestor suddenly reached out to the commander's neck and gripped it hard. A crisp sound sounded. The commander's neck broke on the spot. His entire head was also torn off, and blood sprayed in all directions. The headless body trembled slightly before collapsing to the ground with a loud thud. Anyone who dares to disobey my orders will end up like him. Nestor held the commander's head and threw it to the army. The gruesome scene caused everyone's expression to turn grim. None of them dared to say anything. Not only would they be killed if they retreat right now, but they would also be shamefully labeled as deserters. Plus, they would lose their pension and drag their family down. Thus, they didn't have a choice right now. They had to fight with all their might, even if they ended up dying. After stabilizing everyone, Nestor's gaze turned to the sky. "Brett, I don't believe that the poison in your hand can kill everyone here. If you're really that capable, go ahead," he sneered. "What, you don't even care about your subordinates' lives?" Abigail furrowed her eyebrows. She did have different kinds of poison with her. However, she didn't have much of each. She only had 3 of the corrosive poison she had thrown down just now. Even if she dumped all of them, she couldn't eliminate all the enemies. That was why she threw out different kinds of threats to make them back off. However, she didn't expect Nestor to be so vicious. He didn't care about his subordinates' lives at all. All of them are brave soldiers who aren't afraid of death. I'm sure they'll be willing to sacrifice themselves just to complete the mission. Nestor replied calmly, "That's right. What a troublemaker. You'd better not poke your head into this. If you know what's best for you, you should leave immediately. Otherwise, you'll be dead meat today." Anders shouted, "What a bunch of heartless people. Since you guys want to die so badly, don't mind if I do." Abigail's expression was indifferent. Without further ado, she dumped the 3 poisonous bombs down to Nestor and the rest. She was sure the soldiers would give up as long as she killed the ringleaders, Nestor and Anders. After all, the soldiers only listened to their orders. "Mr. Wilkins, dodge." Anders' expression changed when he saw the bombs raining down. He quickly backed away, fearful to come into contact with it. Although martial artist's energy could defend against all poison, he didn't dare to risk it. Anders had seen the miserable state the soldiers were in. If his energy failed to block the poison, he would be disfigured at best when the poison landed on him. Moreover, there was a chance that his flesh would rot. Nestor sneered and didn't dodge. The huge, angry iron fist emerged again. Then it waved its humongous hand and slammed it on the 3 poisonous bombs. The 3 poison gas bombs were like ping-pong balls being smashed. They instantly flew several feet away and exploded loudly in the crowd. Instantly, a massive amount of black mist erupted once again. A few thousand armed soldiers were engulfed in the black mist. Screams, moans, and calls for help resounded. Those who got poisoned ran around everywhere. Those who didn't were scared of getting involved and quickly backed away. Soon, the battlefield was in a mess. After the terrifying experience just now, a lot of soldiers had lost their will to fight. They couldn't help but shudder in fear. Although they were well trained, they were still human. Therefore, they would feel afraid and have all kinds of negative emotions. Compared to being poisoned to death helplessly, they would rather face the enemy head-on and have their blood splatter on the battlefields. Let's see how much you can block. Abigail didn't give up. With a wave of her hands, a row of white beads appeared between her fingers. Then she forcefully threw them downward. The white beads exploded before they even hit the ground. A huge amount of white mist gushed out. In the blink of an eye, the white mist covered an area of several 100 feet in radius and blocked everyone's sight. Although the white mist was less potent than the black mist, it had a more significant amount and a wide coverage area. Sir, go now. Taking advantage of the confusion caused by the black and white poison mists, Abigail rode the black giant eagle and dove down from a high altitude. After that, she headed straight toward Dustin. She had used up most of the poison she had. Thus, the best choice was to escape along with Dustin. Seeing Abigail swooping down, Dustin was quick to react. He soared into the air with a single leap and landed steadily on the giant eagle's back. Blackie, leave here now. Abigail patted the eagle's back. The giant eagle cried, and its massive wings flapped vigorously. In an instant, it soared higher and swiftly flew away. Nice, we're finally safe. Abigail looked thrilled. When Dustin and Abigail turned around to look, they realized Nestor and the others were still struggling in the white mist. The latter couldn't even tell where they were. Be careful. At this moment, Dustin's expression suddenly changed. Then, he shielded Abigail. The true energy in his body oozed out, forming a black tortoise shield. In the next second, a black arrow shot across the sky. With lightning speed, it pierced through the body of the giant eagle. However, it didn't stop until it collided with the black tortoise shield. A deafening sound resounded in the air. The black tortoise shield exploded on the spot. The massive impact caused Dustin and Abigail to be blown away. Meanwhile, the eagle that had gotten shot in the chest didn't even manage to cry. It died on the spot and fell from the sky. Blackie, Abigail cried out. The Black Eagle was not only the transportation of the Mystic Arts Order, as Grand Sorceress, but also heirloom left behind by Abigail's mother. Abigail loved it very much, even becoming friends with the eagle. She didn't expect that it would die today.